Welcome back to Brewers Daily, another episode as we are starting a fresh week here of daily Brewers content as the offseason continues for your 97-win Milwaukee Brewers three-peat NL Central Division champions. Lots to get to this week in this show here today. We had the tender deadline on Friday afternoon. Some news to get to there. A first-round pick returning to the Brewers organization, and a player that the Brewers really like. We'll get to that later on in the show here as well. And some old friends finding some new homes here in the early part of the offseason. But I want to start with the tender deadline and those decisions that came down on Friday here as the Brewers decided to tender contracts to all arbitration eligible players. And this is not really much of a surprise at all. As we talked about on previous episodes here, if you want to just look back through the Brewers Daily episode list, you can look back the last couple of days. As I've talked about, really not expecting any non-tenders. The closest was Jake Bauers, and Jake Bauers was one player who agreed to a deal at $2.7 million to avoid arbitration. So typically at this time in the year, the players that agree to deals, that agree to a number at this point already, are the ones who were fairly close and kind of borderline non-tender candidates. So Bauers was the only one that agreed to a deal, and that kind of tracks for about what I expected. $2.7 million is slightly above what MLB Trade Rumors was projecting. They were projecting $2 million even for Bauers, so they were coming in a bit on the low end for what the Brewers and Bauers clearly felt that he was worth. So with his production that he had, he ends up getting a $2.7 million deal to be the backup first baseman for the Milwaukee Brewers next year and play a little bit of outfield as well. But the Brewers tendered contracts to all their other arbitration-eligible players: Nick Mears, Trevor McGill, Bryce Terang, Garrett Mitchell, William Contreras. They brought all those guys got tendered. Nothing's a surprise there. They didn't agree to terms with any of them. The deadline for that is in mid-January, so that's when we're more likely to see those deals come together. Of course, there's going to be maybe some questions on if they're going to be able to come to a deal with a player like William Contreras or Bryce Terang, because those are star players who may feel a bit more highly about how they should be valued, and the Brewers may feel differently. Now, the Brewers filed with William Contreras last year. They ended up agreeing to a deal shortly before going to trial, and they were able to avoid that. We'll see if that same situation ends up playing out here as well. Terang has a case to make quite a bit of money, and Andrew Vaughn is also going to make quite a bit of money as well. He's projected around $7.8 million, but he gets tendered a deal, so he's going to be coming back in Milwaukee next season. So nothing really a surprise here again, and it's just kind of one deadline down as now this offseason keeps on moving along. But just because the Brewers didn't make any moves doesn't mean that other teams did not. So a bunch of other teams around the league did non-tender some players, and some pretty good ones as well that now immediately become free agents and can sign with any new team. So I want to take a look at a couple of them here because there are some very interesting names that could fit exactly what the Brewers are looking for or like to do. I want to dive into those guys here. And one of the first ones that jumps off the page is Adolis Garcia. I mean, he was your World Series MVP just 2 years ago with the Texas Rangers. He's kind of dropped off a little bit since in the past 2 years, and that leads to his non-tender here. He's projected around $12 million. Now that he's going to be a free agent, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be getting $12 million, because if he is, the Brewers ain't paying that. But Adolis Garcia is someone who is, corner outfielder. You can put him there in left field because that's a spot that the Brewers could be looking to upgrade if they believe that Collins' breakout was kind of a one-year fluke this season. It could be a spot that they really need to look for. So Adolis Garcia, he makes a ton of sense as someone to maybe be a bounce-back candidate, see if a change of scenery can help him get better, because the Brewers may end up needing that. And Garcia being let go by the Rangers, it's tough. I mean, to see that kind of decline, what he's put up in the last couple of seasons, because the power's in there, the potential's in there, but you haven't seen it in the last couple of years. But Adolis Garcia is going to be a very fun name to watch out there on the free agent market and to see if the Brewers actually show some interest in him. We know he was talked about as a trade candidate ahead of the non-tender deadline. Clearly, there were no takers for him, especially, I mean, when teams know that they're going to get non-tendered anyways, they might just wait until free agency, and then that way you don't have to give up any sort of prospects or anything for them. Depends on what kind of a market you're expecting to see. If you're trying to beat everyone else to it, you don't want to compete with everyone. But teams clearly felt that Garcia was not going to have that robust of a market, so they're going to be able to wait him out and see what ends up happening there. Next non-tendered free agent that I want to look at is Ramon Urias, utility infielder, long time with the Baltimore Orioles, and then spent this past year, he got traded and was with the Houston Astros and got non-tendered by them. So Ramon Urias, now a free agent. He is the brother of Luis Urias, Brewers legend, and he's a utility guy who can play pretty much all over. And that's something that the Brewers could maybe look at. I mean, Ramon Urias is a fairly productive. I mean, he's not a complete black hole offensively, and that's saying something considering what the Brewers have been looking at with some of their utility infielders of late. But I mean, this past year hit .241, 11 homers, 88 OPS plus. Again, he's below league average a little bit there, but still put up over 2 wins above replacement. Very strong defender, can play third, can play second. He has a gold glove in his past. He can play some short, hasn't played there a lot lately. Granted, he's been in Baltimore. They kind of have a shortstop. They're pretty well covered there over the last couple of seasons. So he's been primarily second and third base. But he's someone who can give the Brewers some coverage there as a veteran middle infield bat that has, at least a little bit of pop that he can bring. The Brewers have some familiarity, at least with his brother, so they should have a pretty good idea of what they can be getting from Ramon Urias. So if you're looking for a 1-year veteran utility infielder to kind of help out with some depth, I think Ramon Urias would make a ton of sense for the Milwaukee Brewers to end up looking at here. And the third and final non-tendered free agent that I want to bring up here and mention as a possibility for the Milwaukee Brewers is Alek Manoah. Ends up getting non-tendered by the Atlanta Braves. He's someone who was a first-round pick and came up and was an absolute stud in the early part of his career for the Toronto Blue Jays. He had some health issues and things kind of went south production-wise for him, and they haven't really been able to figure Alek Manoah out. So then they end up moving on from him. He latches on in Atlanta. Atlanta ends up moving on from him, and I mean the Brewers are a spot where pitchers want to go. Especially pitchers who have great raw stuff, but they've been struggling to kind of harness it and maximize it. The Brewers are a great spot for pitchers like that because they will look at your strengths and they will be able to maximize them. They will find a way to make you effective with what you do well. And I think that's a place. I think this is a place where Alek Manoah could thrive. Again, if he's healthy. But we've seen him be dominant at stretches. I mean, he has been fantastic at points in his career. He struggled to put it together consistently over the last few seasons. But when he came up, he finished in Rookie of the Year voting in his rookie season in 2021. Had a 3.22 ERA and 20 starts. Then the next year, 2022, had a 2.24 ERA, made 31 starts, All-Star, top 3 in Cy Young voting, 6 wins above replacement, a 16-7 record. Dude was incredible. He was fantastic. And then everything just kind of fell apart on him. He put up an ERA near 6 the next year, made just 19 starts, battled with some injuries. Wasn't quite as effective. Then 2024 just makes 5 starts at the big league level. So he's been going through it the last couple of seasons. But still, he's someone who has an incredible amount of talent. Manoah is just 27 years old. So there's still hope. There's still hope for him there that he can turn things around, and I think he just needs the right organization to do it, and I think the Brewers are that kind of organization. Now, the Brewers do have quite a bit of starting rotation caliber players that are big league ready. I'm not sure if Manoah is going to return to starting, if maybe someone looks at making him a reliever with his stuff. I think that's a place that maybe he could contribute right away. And given how his career has gone, he may be someone who's looking at a minor league deal, or at the very least, it would be, or at the very most, it would be, a league minimum major league deal to be on the 40-man roster. But I think it's more likely he's looking at a minor league deal with an invite to big league camp to prove what he can do as teams try and maybe build him back up. So, you could put Alek Manoah in Nashville, put him in AAA for a little bit, let him, work with the Brewers coaching staff and just kind of see if he can build back up to being the type of starter that he was before. So I think that's a very real possibility. Now, the Brewers do have a ton of other starters that they want to work in, and it's already going to be tough to see how those things kind of figure out. But as the old saying goes, you can never have enough pitching. Never. We've seen it this year with the Brewers. They thought they had a whole great depth of starting pitching coming into the year. The next thing you know, boom, DL Hall's down. Boom, Aaron Ashby's down. Boom, Tobias Myers is down. And next thing you know, it's like, whoa, we don't have enough pitching. So, yeah, you can never have enough of it. And Alek Manoah, I think, would be a great flyer for the Brewers to take because he's going to go somewhere on a flyer. Someone is going to take a chance on his talent because he is that first-round pick. He was very recently an all-star. You know it's in there. He's 27 years old. He's still young enough. Teams are going to take a chance. They're going to take a look at him. If there's any place that could turn Alek Manoah into being a successful pitcher again, it would be the Milwaukee Brewers. So I think this would be a great landing spot for him. He can get that time in Nashville to figure some things out if he needs to. But he has got the talent to join any rotation, even the Brewers. And they could just take things that much higher for this organization. So that's a non-tenured free agent that I'm certainly going to be keeping an eye on and see where he lands because I really believe in that talent. I think he's such a good pitcher, and he would be so good on this team. We'll see where he goes. But Atlanta let him go, and I think the Brewers pitching development, the Brewers pitching lab, could really do some good work for Alek Manoah. And another player that they really kind of want to do some good work with and have done some good work with largely is a former first-round pick, a different former first-round pick in J.B. Bukauskas, who has been with the Brewers for the last couple of years, but you haven't really seen him much at all when you look at his numbers or you think about him because Bukauskas only has a handful of games of Brewers experience. He played in 5 games for the Brewers in 2023 when they picked him up. 6 innings, got injured, missed the rest of the season, gets brought back in 2024, plays in 6 games, pitches 6 innings, does really well. 1.5 ERA, just gave up 1 run in those 6 innings. Deals with a lat injury and is out for the rest of the season. And then this year, comes in, looks to be a big part of it, and then suffers an injury again and is out for the rest of the season. So Bukauskas has had some really tough injury luck, especially with the lat. That's what he missed this year with, a lat injury. But the Brewers like him. Pat Murphy raved about him all season long, and we're kind of looking at when Murphy's talking about how Bukauskas was a big loss, and we're like, J.P. Bukauskas was a big loss to his pitching staff? Okay, you're the manager, but he's pitched in a grand total of 12 innings for you over the span of 2 years, 3 years now in the Brewers organization. But he re-signs with the Brewers on a minor league deal. So the Brewers are going to give him another chance heading into 2026. Hopefully he's fully healthy, fully healed from that lat injury, and the Brewers can finally see what he can do, and Bukauskas can finally show what he can do. Because, he's someone who, kind of like Manoah, has had some really good talent. He was taken with the 15th overall pick back in 2017 by the Houston Astros. So, he's someone who has a ton of great pedigree behind him. Got some run with the Diamondbacks in 2021, but then has really kind of bounced around since and hasn't been able to stay healthy the last couple of seasons. So he's going to get another shot here. And again, Bukauskas, he's just 29 years old. So he's someone that, actually, now that I look at it, his birthday is my birthday. He was born the exact same day I was. That's crazy. So J.B. Bukauskas, 29 years old, still plenty of talent in there. And the Brewers are hoping that he can turn things around. So he gets brought back on a minor league deal, not taking a 40-man roster spot. If he's healthy in camp and he can pitch well, maybe he can get himself into a bullpen spot. But I think at very least, if he's healthy, he'll be there in Nashville, and he'll be one of the first calls that the Brewers make if they need a bullpen spot, because Pat Murphy has raved about this guy and what he brings. So I'm very interested to see what Bukauskas is going to end up being able to do. And finally, a couple of old friends of the Brewers have been finding their free agent homes pretty quickly here, or have been moving on. We saw Joey Wiemer get traded to the San Francisco Giants. He was with the Miami Marlins, and they ended up trading him for cash considerations to the San Francisco Giants. So he moves. Yoel Payamps is back with the Atlanta Braves, old friend, long time with the Brewers, past couple of seasons. Brewer Hicklin, another former Brewer, who still technically is a Brewer. That is his first name. But he agrees to a minor league deal with the Atlanta Braves. So, that's another guy that ends up finding a home. Another guy going to Atlanta, Connor Thomas, the Brewers' Rule 5 pick this year, who ended up pitching in 2 games. Then he had an elbow injury, had some bone spurs, and then ended up, having a setback and needing surgery again, and ended up being out for the season and had to have elbow surgery. So he ends up getting a new home as well. So a lot of former Brewers finding themselves spots, and a couple of them in Atlanta. So Atlanta is kind of raiding the former Brewer cabinet there, and trying to corner that market. So the offseason is moving. We just saw a big trade come through with the Rangers and the Mets, Brandon Nimmo and Marcus Semien. So we're starting to see the hot stove really gets cooking here, and I'm excited to see it continue and see what the Brewers do, because I feel like they're going to have something up their sleeve. It may be a fairly quiet offseason, but I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Arnold really does cook up something big, something unexpected this offseason to shake things up. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And, of course, stay here with us every single day on Brewers Daily as we keep you updated, give you all the analysis here every single day. So hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. I am Dave Gasper. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Brewers Daily.